Most of these Filipinos earning well are still investing the hard way. Individual stocks, real estate, MP2, they're still stressing and trying to time the market while also managing their investments 1,000 miles away. And hindi pa rin sila sure if it's enough. Ganun din ako before. And I started investing in 2014. Pero 3 years ago, I made the switch to a globally diversified portfolio. Hindi ko na regularly chine-check yung portfolio ko, pero 56% na yung returns ko. Mula nung nag-start ako. Kaya sa video nito, I'll share with you why the traditional approach to investing as an overseas Filipino is slowing you down and what effortless global investing actually looks like. Ako pala si Jay and I help overseas Filipinos create an early retirement blueprint so they can retire before 60. Kung din gusto mo, you can apply through coaching sa link below. So over the years of investing, ito lang yung natutunan ko. Na the investor who tries the hardest retires the last. Kasi nga, most of these Filipinos believe that working harder at investing and picking better stocks or timing the market and researching more gets them to retire faster. Kaya lang, data doesn't suggest that. And una ko narinig itong tinatawag na art of not trying dito sa isang video na to sa YouTube. This is more of a philosophy ng Taoism. And natutunan ko nga dito na the more that a person tries to do his best to achieve a certain target, the more na hindi niya na-receive or na-achieve yung goal na yun. Para to siyang tubig na it doesn't forces its way through a rock. It goes around it until na ma-reach yung kanyang destination. And then over time, yung rock na yun bumibigay, nabubutas siya or nasisira. And the water flows right through it. Na-realize ko na when I was trying my best to invest or make more money through investing, the more na napapatagal ako. And naisip ko nga to bigla na kung sino pa yung mas nagmamadali, sila pa yung mas napapatagal. And dito umabot sa point na yung mga initial investments ko early on, mostly nalugi ako. Worst case is na-scam pa nga ako. And based din sa mga stories ng mga clients ko, most of them approached me for coaching kasi nga sa umpisa, they thought they were doing really well. They were investing actively, they were trying to time the market, and they were getting good returns. But eventually, nung nagkaroon ng mga crashes or ng mga downturns sa market, they lost the gains na kinita nila. They couldn't behave properly kapag nagkakaroon ng mga market downturns. And samantalang, yung natutunan ko nga sa approach ko 3 years ago is to really do it the slow way. Some call it passive investing, pero I wanna call it effortless investing. Yung compounding interest or at least yung habits na nabibuild mo rin as an investor works well for you in the long run versus those na doing active or I would say forceful investing. Sa umpisa mukhang ang sipag nila, they're very productive and they think they're getting ahead. Pero as time passes by, yung approach nila na yun doesn't work well against them. And merong study on Dalbar from 1992 to 2021, ang S&P 500 daw, if someone invested there passively, would have a return of around 10.65%. Pero dun sa mga average na equity investor, ang naging return lang was at 7.13%. And ang laki na naging gap niya kasi instead of that person na kumita ng 2 million, ang kinita niya lang is around 800K. And doon nagkakaroon ng gap kasi nga the average investor behaves the moment na nagkaroon ng mga market crashes and nagre-react sila sa news, the more na nawawalan sila ng pera compared to those na passively lang nag-i-invest sa market. And gusto ko i-share itong very recent lang na conversation ko with a bro. Kasama namin ito sa church. Nag-i-invest daw siya sa stock market or sa global markets for the last 3 years na. And very proud siya na sinabi sa akin na yung kanyang returns was at 10%. And then pinakita ko nga sa kanya yung portfolio ko na nasa 56% na right now. And gulat siya kung paano ko daw nagawa yun. Well, sabi ko wala. It's really an effortless way of investing. And shinare ko yung story ng isa kong client. Merong $3 million na portfolio. Let's call this John. Si John ay nakapag-accumulate ng ganitong wealth without exerting so much effort. Kasi yung time and energy ni John was focused on growing his business right after he graduated from college. Hindi niya tinry i-beat ang market. Kaya nga sabi ko kay bro na instead of you wasting your time trying to time the market and looking for the hot stock na magpapayaman sa'yo, why not use that same time para i-grow yung skill set mo and become the best in your industry. You want to be the big fish in a small pond. Yan yung competition mo. Ito yung pond mo na sobrang daming opportunities. Instead of you trying to beat the market, na ayan, ang dami ninyo dyan. Ang kalaban ninyo is mga institutions. Kunyari, ikaw to. And then, ang mga nandyan is yung Goldman Sachs, Charles Schwab. So, sila mismo, yung kalaban mo when you're trying to trade, and this is a bloody pond. that you're trying to compete against. Kaya you want to own your industry or your market, kung saan ka talaga magaling, kung nasa yung skill set and talent mo and training mo all throughout these years, than trying to beat the stock market. Kasi gantong ginawa ni John para makapag-build ng kanyang passive wealth. So, 37 years old na siya and he can retire comfortably. The only reason why he's still working is because he really loves his business and he only works 1 to 2 hours a day. Pero yung binild niya na portfolio all throughout those years was enough para mag-retire silang entire family. And sabi nga ni Uncle Warren Buffett, you just want to buy the index for any retail investor kasi there's no way for you to beat it. Now that you know this, ano ba pwede mong gawin instead of beating the market? Ano bang best way? And ito nga lagi sinasabi na you have to own the world. Bibili ka lang ng isang fund and your money is already spread everywhere. So an exchange-traded fund is a fund that tracks the global indices. Pwede mo isipin na ang index is a basket of different assets or it can be several assets in different parts of the world na hindi mo na kailangang bilhin isa-isa itong bawat company na to. It can be an entire stocks na basket or pwedeng may portion of that na bonds and other asset classes. Pwedeng ito ay commodities or whatever na gusto mong pag-investan. And compared to other asset classes na paborito ng mga Pinoy, and based on my personal experience, ito yung pinakamadali kong ma-maintain kasi nga if ako ay mag-i-invest sa individual stocks, bagsak ang kanyang diversification kasi nga very few stocks lang yung binabantayan ko and umaasa ako na magpapalago ng pera ko. And in terms of liquidity, madali mo convert into cash ang mga ETFs dahil nga you own the entire world, well diversified ang yung portfolio. The only challenge lang with this is of course, in most cases, if you're investing long term, medyo bumpy yung first few years ng inyong journey. Pero long term, generally, it performs really well. And dahil nga most of you who are watching this overseas Filipinos, isa ito sa pinakamadaling i-maintain and i-manage na type of investment kung saan ka man naka-base. And when you're trying to invest globally, ang madalas nakikita mo na mga comparison would be itong whether you'll be going for an ETF or a mutual fund. So ang objective ng ETF is to just simply track the index. Mutual fund naman, ang goal nito is to beat it. Dahil magkaiba sila ng objective, magkaiba rin yung kanilang pagmamanage. Sa ETF, it is passively managed. Mutual fund naman, it's actively managed. Dahil nga actively managed dito, ang kanyang fees is actually higher. Sabi mo na nasa 1.5 to 3%. Minsan 4% pa yan. And si ETF naman is dahil nga passively managed dito, ang fees niya is low. Most of them is usually 1%. Some is 0.09% or yung sa akin is 0.25%. Ang long-term na returns pagdating sa mga ETFs is usually higher. Mutual fund naman, net of fees, most of it is lower. And meron din data that backs this up dahil yung nakikita ninyo dito is yung tinatawag na SPIVA scorecard. Standard & Poor Index versus Active na mga funds. Kaya kung titignan mo ito, yung mga developed nations na mayroong mga professionals and are actively trading the market could not even beat the simple index fund. Bakit ka pa magbabayad ng matataas na fees para i-beat ang index kung hindi naman din talaga nila gagawa yun? Lalo na kung goal mo is long term, then it really is better na mag-invest ka by yourself. And babalik nga ako dun sa sinabi ko kanina, dun sa kwento nila bro and ni John. So bakit mo pa itatry na i-beat ang market kung yung mismong mga professionals could not do this long term? So I would really suggest that you double down on the things that you're really good at. So napapansin mo ngayon na one of the key ways to retire early is to really grow your income with the help of your skill set and in your career, while at the same time, grow your investments passively. Hayaan mo na si market yung mag-grow niyan. Okay? Mandaming data na nagsasabi na if you just put it sa index funds long term, you will be able to grow your wealth. May dalawang klase ng ETFs. Ang una is yung tinatawag na single asset. Equities or stocks, bonds, REITs, and pwedeng an index of different commodities in itself. Meron naman tinatawag na multi-asset. Let's say 20% na bonds and then 20% na equities. So bakit mahalagang i-distinguish ito? Dahil when you're building a portfolio, it only means na you are trying to achieve one goal. It can be retirement, child's education, short-term na buying a house, pero hindi siya dapat magkakasama kasi magkakaiba sila ng time frame. The challenge with using single assets to build one portfolio is ganito yung mag-itsura niya. So for example, ito yung portfolio mo for retirement and gusto mo rin magkaroon ng 80% equities and 20% na bonds. The problem with single assets is, let's say ito ay VWRA, yung very common for global equities, and ito naman is AGGU, global bonds. Pag ganito yung portfolio mo, kailangan mo siyang i-monitor na madalas. Okay? May tinatawag na drifting ng portfolio na pwedeng yung allocation mo na 80-20 this year, baka maging 90-10 next year. Yung pag-maintain ng allocation na to all throughout your investment journey is very important para ma-reach mo yung goal mo. Kaya lang ito nga yung challenge with individual stocks, kasi you have to manually rebalance your portfolios every year para maging stick siya dun sa original plan mo. Pero when you do this multi-asset portfolio, baked in na siya. So kumbaga fixed na siya dito, na 80-20 na siya mula day 1 hanggang let's say year 20. The only difference of course ng multi-asset is wala ka masyadong control kung ano yung nandun sa fund na yon. Unlike sa single asset portfolio na pwede ka pang magkaroon ng third fund, depende sa gano'n ka kadisiplinado and kasipag talaga na i-maintain yung allocation ng portfolio mo. Yan yung dalawang types ng ETF na you need to be aware of, kasi yung iba is pinaghahalo tong dalawang to. Nakita ko na meron na silang multi-asset, meron pa silang single asset, and nagkakaroon na ng overlap sa kanilang mga assets na binibili. Doon nagkakaleche-leche yung kanilang portfolio. Kaya personally pinili ko is itong Vanguard na Life Strategy Fund. This is a multi-asset fund na 80% is equities and 20% is global bonds. This is not a way to promote them, okay? Dito lang talaga nag-invest kasi I'm based in the UAE. And ito yung pinaka madali for me dahil it holds 14,571 companies. Ayan, if you can see it here. Low cost lang siya, and yung kanyang dividends is automatically reinvested and automatically rin siyang nare-rebalance. Hindi ko na kailangan galawin pa yung portfolio ko. And again, I'm invested in different countries, in different sectors, and in different funds and companies. If you're based in other countries, this may not work. Okay? Kaya be very careful. Huwag kayong basta kopya lang ng kopya. Ito yung fund na nag-work sa akin. Okay? May nakausap ako na nag-apply very recently. Kinopya niya lang yung ginagawa ko, and kaya lang dun sa situation niya, hindi applicable to kasi nga hindi tax efficient dun sa country kung saan siya naka-base. Kaya do your own research, okay? Pero some things you can check is yung mga tinatawag na target date funds if you're in the US, and I think sa other countries like Australia, UK, may mga ganong klase ng funds din. Multi-asset din siya, and the good thing with those types of funds sa target date is automatic na rin nagbabago ng allocation habang malapit ka na dun sa goal mo. And from year 1, for example, until year 20, sa mga target date funds, usually, ito yung allocation mo. Mas malaki ka sa stocks and very few sa bonds. Kasi nga, you wanna take more risk para you can make more money. Dahil matagal pa naman malayo pa 20 years pa. And pag malapit ka na doon sa goal, automatic na nagre-readjust yung portfolio mo. So talagang, ito yung isa sa pinaka buy and hold na strategy na very effective para sa mga busy na investors katulad ko or katulad mo rin. Kaya kung mayroong target date fund dito sa UAE or may ma-access ako, dito ako mag-i-invest. Itong pinag-i-invest ko na to, itong 80-20 na to, eventually mag-aalis din ako dyan. Kasi pag malapit na ako sa goal ko, kailangan ko na mag-shift sa mas konti na allocation ng bonds para mas ma-preserve ko yung kinita ng aking pera. One thing pala na I want you to remember, kasi very common to na binibenta sa mga overseas Filipinos. Ito yung mga feeder funds. You want to avoid feeder funds as much as possible. Bakit? Kasi nga, napakataas ng fees niyan. There are some banks na nag-offer nito with a fee of 1.5%. And they're trying to track the MSCI Global. Pero, yung ganong klase ng fund, you can get that for around 0.25%. Or baka nga mas mababa pa. Para lang yung balat ng candy. Yung fund, nirarap niya lang yan and nilalagyan ng label or ng brand or ng pangalan. Tapos may isa naman na pwede rin mag-offer ng, let's say, FF2. Pero, yun lang din yung laman yan. And might as well, kaysa dumang ka sa mga to, i-bypass mo na yan and mag-invest ka directly dito sa fund na to. Malaking matitipid mo in terms of fees. And of course, the product I love to hate is itong mga RSPs or regular savings plans na palaging binebenta ng mga financial advisor. When I was in the industry, ito yung isa sa mga products na padalas pinapabenta sa amin kasi nga, well, number one, mataas ang commission dyan. And sabi nga ni Charlie Munger, show me the commission and I'll tell you the outcome. Pero good thing hindi ako nagbenta nito kasi nga napaka-complicated nitong mga products na to. And napakalaki ng fees. It can range ng 2 to 4%. Depende kung saan country ka naka-base, okay? Ang kumikita lang talaga dito is yung nagbenta sa inyo niyan at yung fund manager at hindi ikaw. Tinignan mo to, long term, kung nag-invest ka by yourself, ganyan kikitain mo. Pero if you invest through a feeder fund or a regular savings plan na actively managed, most likely, ganito lang din ang kikitain mo, net of fees. And ito, yung kinita mo sana, na kinain lang ng fees. Kaya the best way to go is to really invest by yourself. Ngayon, knowing where to invest is just half of it. The other half is yung paano mo ito i-set up. Ang kailangan mo lang gawin is to think once and then invest forever. Pero pag sinabi kong effortless investing, it doesn't mean na zero thinking, okay? Kaya kailangan mo talaga ito pag-isipang maigi. Kasi once na fully committed ka na dun sa plan mo, then all you need to do is automate and set up systems para consistent ang iyong pag-i-invest effortlessly. So para lang siyang ganito, para lang piloto, okay? They invest a lot of their time sa flight plan. They do their calculations nila in the system. Once na meron silang flight plan, they use itong autopilot to help them. And they stay the course. Regardless kung may turbulence, dire-diretso lang sila until they land sa destination nila. Okay, pagdating sa effortless investing, you only decide once. Hindi to agad-agad na pagde-decide, pero you take your time. Ano yung allocation mo, ano yung goals, your risk profile. Pero pagdating sa forceful investing, ang decision making mo is frequent kasi nga madalas mong babantayan yung takbo ng markets eh. Dito ay automated, or the way you manage your investment sa forceful investing is manual. Kaya in terms of friction, zero pagdating sa effortless. And doon naman sa forceful investing, mataas ang friction. And unfortunately for those people na manual ang approach, ang returns talaga nila tend to be lower. Samantalang for effortless investing, returns tend to be higher. And ganito mismo yung nangyari sa akin. Dahil naka-automate na nga yung investments ko, lalo na nagkaroon itong gera, wala nang magawa. Inayaan ko lang siya mag-invest. Kasi nga, if ako yung nandun sa time na yon, sigurado ako na magpo-pause ako for investing and wait for the bottom of the market, which is hindi ko naman talaga malaman kung nasa bottom na ba yung market, right? And this is how you can set it up. First thing to do is to know your allocation. 80-20 ka ba? 90-10? Yung iba gusto 100, ikaw diskarte mo yan. Pero para maintindihan mo kung ano yung allocation mo, two things that you need to know is ano yung goal mo and your risk profile. Now don't worry about this kasi meron ako mga videos that will help you in answering these questions. And then the next part is to know what ETF you'll be buying. Anong fund yan. Bakit ito mauna? Kasi yung napapansin ko na ang ginagawa ni iba is nag-open agad ng brokerage account. Pero hindi lahat ng brokerage account offers access dun sa mga ilang mga ETFs or mga funds globally. Kaya kaysa masayang oras mo, mag-research ka muna kung ano ba yung ETF na swak sa situation mo. And of course, based din sa allocation mo. And saka mag-open ng brokerage account. So again, dalawang klase lang ng ETF yan. Either i-build mo yung portfolio mo using single assets or multi-asset. Once na nakapag-decide ka na, the next part is to, of course, open your brokerage account. And then once na na-funded mo na yan, you start to automate the process. And ganoon siya kadali. Also, I want to add here na merong mga ilang countries na yung banks nila nag-o-offer ng trading platform for their clients. Dito sa UAE, maraming ganun. Built-in na dun sa banko mismo yung mga funds for their clients. Mas convenient nga siya, kaya lang, there are cases na limited lang yung funds na ino-offer nila. And of course, very particular ko, again, sa mga fees and also other costs to trade your assets. Kaya mas gugustuhin ko pa rin na mag-set up ng investment portfolio sa brokerage accounts. To help you with this, meron akong ginawang playlist. And of course, sa pag-open naman ng brokerage account, pwede kong i-share yung link sa guide on how to open IBKR. Yan yung gamit ko kasi. So, yan lang din yung kaya ko i-share sa inyo. Right? Nandiyan yung link sa description nitong episode na to. Again, personally, I prefer using Interactive Brokers sa pag-i-invest globally. They've been a trusted platform by many institutions for 45 years na. And they're also licensed across more than 10 countries globally. And most importantly is, of course, they have the lowest fees. Madali ko siya ma-access kung mag-move man kami to another country or mag-for good sa Pinas. Although right now, I think may issue yan with the SEC. Pero I'm sure magbabago yan in the future kasi sobrang laki ng IBKR, no? Kailangan mag-adjust ang ating regulatory bodies sa mga modern way of investing. Pero some things that you have to remember is ang Interactive Brokers is not the most user-friendly na platform pagdating sa global investing. Kasi nga gamit ito ng institutions eh. Which is actually a good thing, di ba? It means na it's too big to fail. Although, di mo pa rin maialis yun na pwede pa rin magkaroon ng platform risk. Pero in terms of that kind of risk, hindi siya katulad ng mga other newer and smaller platforms. Alam ko na confident ako na paglalagyan ko ng pera ko. Lalo na itong aming retirement and education fund, okay? Pero okay lang yun. Kasi once naman na-set up mo na yung automation, madali na lang ang mga kasunod eh. Ako, never ako nagla-login sa aking web account. Wala rin ako nung kanilang trading platform na pwede mo i-download sa iyong computer. Nakaka-receive ako ng mga notifications if nag-trigger ba or hindi yung automation na sinet ko. Kaya sobrang dali na lang niya. Pero yun nga, experience ng clients ko, nahirapan talaga sila sa umpisa. Na-overwhelm sila. Wala eh, hindi talaga siya user-friendly. Unlike other platforms. And again, platforms vary per country or may ibang mga advanced countries na pwedeng mas advantageous sa kanila yung hindi paggamit ng IBKR. Kaya i-check mo yan sa end mo. Okay? Pero effortless investing through the global markets is just one of the important parts na tinuturo ko for clients to help them retire early. And if you want to learn more how I help them create an early retirement blueprint na swak sa kanilang situation, you can watch this next video. So paano? I'll see you there.